I got the chance to play the new upcoming Diablo 4 expansion, Lord of Hatred, early here, spending a few days with the game last week. Not enough time for a full-blown review or the usual 100+ hour playthroughs that I prefer doing, though I am hoping to do something like along these lines maybe a week or so after release. In the meantime though, yes, I spent a little bit of time with the game, and during that playthrough, I got to see enough to get started on the end game and touch on much of the new stuff that this expansion has to offer. Thank you to Blizzard for giving me the opportunity to play the expansion early. They have also sponsored today's video, simply asking me to give you a full breakdown of all the new stuff coming with Lords of Hatred, so let's dive in. What is new, what has changed, and what can you expect from this latest expansion? Alright, so for starters, we've got the brand new zone of Skavos, along with a main story quest to go with it. Like the original game and last expansion, as you follow the main story quest line, you're gonna get some narrative, cutscenes, boss fights, and encounters, while also being guided through the various sections of the latest zone. In that process, coming across all of the usual points of interest and activities along the way. Now, Skavos itself has the strong Mediterranean feel with a foresty region in the east, volcanoes all the way to the west, and these sunken lands in between. It's also home of the Amazons, who you'll be interacting with here and there on occasion as well. Now, within Skavos, you have got the typical assortment of points of interest and things to do. You've got public events, strongholds, dungeon locations, cellars, etc., with some neat new visual variety in the new location as well. And then by the end of the expansion story, you will have cleared most of Skavos' map, maybe barring a few stronghold locations if you didn't go out of your way to do them while passing by. Oh, and of course, during this campaign playthrough, you got several new major boss fights. These were pretty cool. I don't want to spoil the big ones, but I will say all of them had some neat mechanics to engage with. The final fight in particular was quite a spectacle for sure. Now, it's worth noting that on your initial run, you'll want to play through the new campaign, but on subsequent characters, you are given the option to just skip straight to the end game with the entire map cleared, which lets you run whatever content you want to level up from that point forward. Okay, beyond the new zone, campaign, and all of that stuff, we got two new classes. First, there is the Warlock. This is the newest class added to the Diablo franchise. You might recall, in fact, they added this into Diablo 2 a few weeks or so ago. Now, the Diablo 4 variant is similar, but with a whole bunch of new tools at its disposal. Warlock is described as this aggressive summoner, playing at melee range, combining dark magic and these demonic allies. From what I saw, it's also a rather quick caster, able to move speedily across the map. Now, I only got to see this a little bit, spent a little bit of time with the Warlock, and I hope to give it some more time in the future, because it does seem to have a lot of cool potential. But frankly, I was just wanting to dive straight in and play the Paladin. This is what I'm really enjoying right now. Thematically, Paladin was one of my favorites in Diablo 2, and it's the classic sword and board, kind of heavenly warrior bit, fairly tanky with lots of light-infused abilities. And then their class mechanic is the oath system, where you choose from one of 4 oaths, each having their own kind of defined playstyle. I've really been digging playing it, zipping around the map. I've been going with a hammered-in build, so swinging hammers around me constantly. The class that has been available for some time for people who pre-order the game, but I just recently jumped back in and have checked out this expansion, and I'm enjoying it so far. In fact, I suspect the Paladin is the class I will be playing once the expansion releases this week. I would love to spend some time with the Warlock too, because it does look pretty fun from what I've seen. Okay, so those are the new classes. Next up, we've got War Plans, and this is really the new big endgame structural overhaul that is coming with the expansion. The TLDR here is that War Plans give you a guided path, moving you through the variety of endgame activities and getting extra rewards for doing so. So rather than, in the past, maybe you would have finished the campaign and then decided straight away, I want to farm the pit for a few hours to level up my Paragon glyphs, or maybe I want to do a couple hours in the Undercity followed by a couple hours in the Helltides, whatever. With War Plans, you're rewarded for mixing up your endgame activity rotation, while at the same time, this also streamlines, speeds up the process, and gives you some additional boost via these new endgame skill trees. So the way this works is you are given a branching path from which you choose the route that you want to take. And this path can include any of Diablo 4's major endgame activities: the Tree of Whispers, Nightmare Dungeons, Helltides, the Undercity, Lair Bosses, Infernal Hordes, and the Pit. Initially, after you finish the campaign and are first introduced to the system, your war plan will have one choice at a time. You'll be presented with 2 rows, one of which has 2 options options to pick from. So on my first war plan route, I decided to pick the Undercity in the first row, followed by a Nightmare Dungeon in the second. You lock the plan in, and then you're tasked with completing it. Now, once a war plan is active, you can do whatever you want. You can go out and do whatever endgame activity you choose to do, but remember, you are rewarded for going through and completing these war plans in order. So when you open the world map, what actually happens is you're going to see your active war plan route of activities on the bottom left, and then are given the option to actually teleport to that current objective. No matter what it is, you can instantly teleport it if it's the current active thing that you are on in your war plan. So for my war plan, I first teleported to the Undercity, cleared that, and then teleported to the Nightmare Dungeon, cleared that, before heading back to town for my reward. Now, completing a war plan comes with massive bonuses. You're going to get tons of loot, currency, character experience orbs, as well as activity experience that ranks up your war plan passive trees. And this is the other, maybe more interesting side of the whole war plan system. So you've got entire passive trees for every endgame activity. As you do whispers and dungeons and bosses and whatever else, you're going to gain experience for those things, eventually leveling up and gaining a point to spend in the activity tree. And these trees open up all sorts of new enhancements and alterations for endgame. So for example, once you level up the Tree of Whispers, in that first row, you're going to be given 4 choices. You can choose to have a 4th Whisper cache with every Tree of Whispers turn in, or you can choose to have it so that caches can contain these corrupted roots, which is this item that you place on the ground and summons loads of enemies. You can have it that trees offer one cache, only one cache, but they will always either be a material cache or a chaos cache, or you can choose to have it that you get a chance to trigger this whisper ambush whenever you complete a whisper, during which enemies can burst out the contents of a collection of chaos when you kill them. So you do Tree of Whispers, you level up that tree, and then you get a point to spend in one of those 4 options. There's also the Nightmare Dungeons. In the first row of Nightmare Dungeons, you can choose between spawning these Wars bounty chest at the end of every Nightmare Dungeon run, or making it so that Nightmare Dungeon bosses have a chance to revive when they are slain, so twice the loot from those bosses, or to have it so that treasure goblins have a chance to drop Nightmare Sigils that contain a treasure breach affix in it. And then there's also the Pit. In the first row of the Pit, you have the choice between Pit gains, this haste mastery objective. When you kill the Guardian while this is active, you can gain +1 glyph upgrade chance for every 5 minutes left on the timer, or you can make it so that just by default you get +1 upgrade chance for every single pit run that you do, or there's the choice for a chance of the Chronos wager to appear in the pit. If you activate it, you get a challenge that rewards a large amount of Artificer Stones should you complete it. And again, every single activity has their own trees with their own rewards, and those are just some examples of those 3 activities and the choices in those first rows. There's many, many more for all of the activities. As you play and continue to clear more war plans, what's also going to happen is you're going to level up your war plan rank, and this adds additional rows and columns to the plan path, resulting in more choices, longer war plan route durations, and more rewards in the process. So you start out at rank 0. As mentioned, you have 2 rows with up to 2 columns, and one of which you can pick one. And then once you get to war plan rank 1, you're gonna have 3 rows of 2 columns, potentially. In rank 2, there's 4 rows of 2 columns. And then at rank 3, it goes to 5 rows of 3 columns. And this process goes all the way up to war plan's rank of 10, which unfortunately I didn't get to see. It was a pretty limited window in which I had to play this, playing over the course of a few days, but presumably more rows and more columns will be added as you go from rank 3 up to rank 10, because yeah, we've got 5 rows and then an additional 3rd column just at rank 3. So that is the war plan system. Next up, we have got Echoing Hatred. This is introducing a new sort of pinnacle activity to Diablo 4. Echoing Hatred is very similar, if not near identical, to Diablo 3's variant called Echoing Nightmares. The idea here is simple. You are to take on endless waves of ever increasingly difficult enemies and try to get as far as possible without either A, dying, or B, being overwhelmed, i.e. not killing the enemies that that spawn in quickly enough. So beyond the pit, it seems like this is going to be the new means of kind of limit testing builds and comparing them to one another, with the strongest builds being the ones that can make it the furthest in Echoing Hatred. It is worth noting though that unlike the pit, this isn't something you can just keep slamming over and over again. Entry to an Echoing Hatred run requires you have this rare item called the Trace of Echoes. In fact, Blizzard has actually described this event as a hyper rare event. It's something you're not going to be doing super often. Unless maybe you're a Mega Blaster, I wouldn't expect to be doing a ton of Echoing Hatred runs every single day. In fact, I didn't get a single Trace of Echo to drop in the time that I had played. But when you do get the chance to go in, it looks to be a fun way to test your build and get some great rewards depending on how far you make it. Beyond all that stuff, we've got a few new item and power progression related additions. So first up, there's the Talisman. This is a new means of boosting up your character stats. It's pretty simple. You have charms that will drop, which you can place into one of 6 potential slots. You'll be unlocking more of these as you find higher rarity seals, which are items that are placed in the center. So charms can come in all rarities from normal all the way up to legendary and unique. And most notably, they're now also going to include full-blown sets similar to the green gear sets that you saw in Diablo 3 that have their own innate perks plus additional set bonuses. Now, one of the charm sets that I was using while playing through was the Practice Technique set. The 2-piece bonus added 5% attack speed and 15% move speed, while the 3-piece bonus added 25% gold find and 50% bonus kill experience. And then beyond those piece set bonuses, each charm in the set will also have its own 2 random affixes. So you can get the same named charm as part of a set with completely different affixes. This can be a wide variety of things. Some of the stuff I saw included plus to skill ranks, gold drop rate, potion healing, resistances, move speed, maximum life crit chance, etc., etc. Yeah, simply put, the Talisman is just another means of boosting your character stats and specialization. Talisman charms can also include some of the unique attributes and effects that are found on, say, legendary gear in the game, which is pretty cool. Just another mean of getting those aspects beyond being on the actual gear that your character is wearing. The Herodra Cube has returned to Diablo. With this comes tons of recipes letting you upgrade your gear, forge new items, and otherwise further refine your loadout. This looks like it's going to play a pretty major role in the endgame customization. One of the first things that I tried doing was you have the ability to upgrade a white item to a random unique of that item type. So I took a white one-handed mace, put in the requisite materials, and outspec the Paladin's Herald Morningstar, which it boosts up my spinny hammer build. Perfect. That's literally the exact item that I was looking for, and I got it out of my first chance of rolling an upgrade of a normal to a unique item. Can't wait to see what else we can do with the cube. Also, worth noting, they have added a side activity in the form of fishing in the game. This is pretty simple. The fishing ability is now on your emote wheel, and then you can just activate fishing near bodies of water. This is going to let you pull up fish. Not exactly sure what to be doing with this. I know you can get some resources and special stuff with it, but haven't dove too much into this system as of yet. So that's pretty much a bulk of the new content and new things coming with the expansion, but there have been some additions and changes to the base game and improvements. So first of all, the pit actually has been amped up a bit in this expansion. Blizzard has stated that they've added more monsters, more bosses, and new environmental locations that you will come across in the pit. We also saw the level cap raise from 60 to 70. With this is more skill points to spend in the skill tree. That skill tree has also been overhauled. So for starters, all of those passive nodes have been removed from every class skill tree. Things with like flat defensive and offensive bonuses, few percentage points here and there, those are gone. Instead, every single active skill now has 3 decision points to choose from rather than 1 decision point in the past. So I'll take my Paladin for example. In the prior build of the game, the current live build of the game, you'd pick the Blessed Hammer and then you would have an upgrade and then you would get to choose from one of 2 variations. Now you have 3 different choice points. So you pick Blessed Hammer. In the first choice point, you've got 1 of 2 options. Second choice point, 1 of 2 options. Third point, 1 of 3 options. And that third 3 option choice usually is something more substantial. In Blessed Hammer's case, it's the option to have the hammers continuously rotate around your character rather than spinning from whatever point that you cast it from. And this is the case for every single skill in the game, from the basic skills all the way down to the ultimates. Every skill now has 3 different points which you will make from 1 of 2 or 3 potential options, and all of the passive stuff is gone out of the tree. In fact, those passive nodes that were at the bottom of most of those trees abilities, those have been replaced with new active abilities that you can choose from further beyond like the ultimate level. We've also got changes to the game's difficulty scaling. So currently in the live game, difficulty scales up to Torment tier 4. With Lord of Hatred, it is getting an additional 8 levels, now going up to Torment 12. And Torment 12, I believe, is roughly, if not exactly, equivalent to Pit level 100 to give you sort of an idea of the challenge level. And it rewards 1400% more experience, 300% more gold, on top of all of the additional loot drop additions in all of the prior tiers. Speaking of loot, the built-in loot filter has arrived to Diablo 4 with a bunch of customization options, letting you only see the stuff that you want to drop and filter out everything else. And we have a proper map overlay in the game that lets you move through actually play and move through the game while having a semi-transparent view of the map on top of it. And that just about does it for our overview of Diablo 4's Lord of Hatred expansion. Hopefully this video gave you a better idea of what to expect and what you're getting. To recap, you got the new campaign with all of the quests, new zones, points of interest, and boss fights to explore, 2 new classes, the war plan system that changes up the structure and adds modifiers to endgame, the new Echoing Hatred challenge activity, more power customization via the Talisman and the Cube, fishing if you want to fish, and the skill tree overhaul. If you're interested in learning more or checking it out for yourself, of course, we've got links below. Now, do stay tuned, as I am planning to do kind of a full-blown review after spending at least another week playing through the expansion and consolidating more of my thoughts on all of this stuff and how it plays out after playing for more than a few days. Thank you as always for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the vid. Hope it was useful, and I will see you next time. Take it easy.